Hello boys and girls, welcome to the Virtual Realms YouTube channel. This is Ranger 1 and we're looking at a replay from Kaz. I haven't had a replay from Kaz in quite some time. This kind of tickles me to be able to put this one on. I don't normally put up replays for tank combat or aerial combat that are from arcade matches. I do once in a while if they're interesting enough. And in this case, I think it well deserves that designation. Kaz is running in the T-34-100, which is an interesting vehicle in its own right. And we're on the Poland map, which, right, there's a Jagdpanther, who has just been set on fire and will become Kaz's first kill momentarily. On the Poland map, depending on the scenario that you're running, this is a break scenario. The A point sits squarely across a river and a bridge on that river. The buildings on either side of the waterway and the bridge itself provide excellent cover for both teams. This time around, Kaz has decided that his priority is going to be protecting the A point to keep it from falling to the enemy team, which is probably a very good idea. And it puts that 100mm oversized gun to good use in this match. He's going to poke his nose around the end of the bridge and see if he can get eyes on whatever's capturing this point right now. It looks like a Jagdpanther over there, another one. Yeah, he's not going to poke his nose around and get it shot off by that enemy tank. So he's going to cut back and swing around to at least counter the capture attempt by planting himself firmly under the cover of the bridge. This should stop the capture attempt cold until reinforcements can arrive to help take out the vehicle attempting to capture over there. And there's an M26 Pershing that should be ideally suited to the task. He's also called in artillery on the enemy position as well, and it looks like it's been successful in pushing the enemy back out of the A capture point. Now, I've had this replay for a while. I just hadn't had an opportunity to do what I wanted to do with it. I believe it was sent in shortly after the T-34-100 came into game. It's an interesting vehicle. It actually... Oh, hang on. There's a Leopard, which he firmly discourages. The vehicle itself was... well, prototypes were made, at least one. That 100mm gun on the T-34 chassis was... Well, in theory, it was a great idea, but it had problems. It strongly overstressed the suspension and the transmission of the T-34, and they had to go through a number of variations with, well, different modifications made to the hull, different types of 100mm guns used, and eventually they licked the problems with it. But by the time they did, the T-44 and T-54 were well into development and the war was drawing to a close, so it never made it into full production. But they did actually get a workable tank made from this concept. And this Tiger II has decided he is going to share space under this bridge with Kaz. There is just barely room for the two of them. Kaz is trying to make room for him. He insisted on rooting forward, and he got a shell right into his tracks for his troubles. There's really not enough space to practically put both of these tanks together like this in this confined space, but Kaz puts up with the Tiger II's presence. Exploratory shots are coming in now to see if they can get another hit on that Tiger II. The Tiger II decides he's going to back up and see if he can do something from the other side. Don't you do it. It is not Kaz's fault that you have such a fat butt. You'll notice Kaz is wisely keeping watch over his shoulder. If an enemy tank were to come up right there on that bridge that is behind his position, it would have an excellent shot at the rear of his tank. Well, it seems... yow. It seems the Tiger II is intent on staying here. And normally in War Thunder, patience is a virtue, but I think Kaz is just about fed up with sharing space with his overly large roommate and figures he can do a lot more harm to the enemy team if he moves around into a flanking position. Besides, the Tiger II's there to safeguard the cap by lurking under the bridge. Suddenly this T-44 comes flying through the field of battle. Kaz almost nailed him. That would have been an epic shot, but I really can't blame him for missing that one. That guy was moving fast. Yeah, it's a really good combination, the T-34-100. It's a really good combination of agility and speed combined with a really big gun. Oversized guns, I think, are something that most Americans can get behind. It's a great concept on a fast tank. And the T-34 is it's a good vehicle for it. It can't take a huge amount of punishment, but it can get this weapon into a good position relatively quickly. Now, this is a dangerous intersection. Checks right, and then back left. And there's a T-44 sitting right there in front of him. Takes aim, takes the shot, takes him out. He's going to take a moment to reload and then move back forward to see if anything else is in that courtyard. But fortunately, the coast is clear. So while the face on the wall looks on with stony disapproval, he's going to inch forward and spot a couple of Tiger IIs moving toward the A capture point. They're looking for that spot under the bridge on the enemy-held side of the river. And Kaz feels he has just the tank to deal with the problem. But first, a little artillery drop to lighten the mood. And both Tiger IIs are down. He checks his 6 quickly to make sure he gets no surprises. And he gets surprised anyway by a third Tiger II that moved into the exact same position as the first two under that bridge. The momentary surprise at seeing a living tank where he had assumed there would be only a dead one cost Kaz his tank. That's unfortunate. Well, it's no use crying over spilled blood and brains. He's got another tank waiting in the wings, an IS-2. As a matter of fact, he has a couple of them as he won a backup tank in one of the recent draws. But he's not going to stick in this tank. Actually, he's been itching to get into a bomber this round, and he immediately selects that option. He needs to do something to whittle down the odds. His team is starting to get outnumbered. So he finds himself in the Dornier, appropriately enough, and he proceeds to the attack. He's going to dive, build up some speed, make sure there's nobody on his 6, but he's clear this time around. First, a couple of easy targets that are well out in the field with no obstructions in the way. Best to pick them off first. There's one, and second one. Now he's going to go for a couple of targets toward the middle of town as well. There's an awful lot of enemy tanks down there, and not very many blue tanks left on his side. 2 more bombs dropped. Okay, he's killed 2 to get him to a total of 6. Will the last couple of bombs get anything? Yes, he picks up another kill. That's 3 total in the bomber, bringing him up to a grand total of 7 kills in the match. But His tank was left in the middle of an open field, and his counterpart on the enemy team took advantage of that and blew it up just before he got back into his tank. Well, he does have that backup, and he's going to make full use of it. Judging by what he just saw from the air, their tactical position is not good. They are rapidly getting outnumbered, and the situation is starting to look pretty grim. If he's going to have any chance at all of turning this match around, he's going to have to push it really, really hard from this point on. Kaz is going to mount an epic defense, and I'm going to show you some excerpts from the rest of this battle. At this point, Kaz's team is pretty much gone. Those that are left aren't able to help him out a great deal. Their capture point has been pushed back, and they're about to lose the second one. He doesn't have the proper cover or the backup to hold it very much longer. He's in the mindset now of just taking as many with him as he possibly can. So that's exactly what he does. At this point, Kaz's IS-2 is a wreck. It can barely move, and he finally has to stop to try and get in some repairs to get his gun halfway functional again. He gets rocketed, which doesn't help matters. So he finally pushes that repair button. He looks around, waiting to see where the final shot's going to come from. To his surprise, he actually gets his repairs done and is waiting for the gun to slowly reload, keeping an eye on the enemies to the right, when suddenly, over by that last Tiger II, the one he had just killed, you'll notice an enemy target. There's a T-28 over there hiding behind the body of the dead Tiger II, and before his gun reloads, the killing shot comes in. This match was a real heartbreaker, and I'm sure Kaz's back was pretty tired from all the heavy lifting he had to do while carrying his team this time around. Thanks for turning in the match, Kaz. It was inspiring. And until I see the rest of you guys again, good hunting. Thanks for watching. I hope you were entertained. If you liked the video, please remember to subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you. And I'll see you next time.